afternoon, I'm the Gentleman, this is the Gentleman's Pixel Club, and today we are playing Fireshark. Fireshark is a game on the Sega Mega Drive. I have not played it before, and I figured what we'd do is we'd give it 2 or 3 credits to see how far we can get into the game. And we need these 2 or 3 credits because if you've seen me play before, I'm not particularly good at games. So we've just taken off on the runway and all the little men have made an arrow to show us which way to go. Thank you very much. And here I am just testing out the weapons, firing off a smart bomb way too early, collecting what looks like a lightning bolt, and just generally shooting these tanks that we see coming around here. For those of you that do not know, I'm playing on a Genesis, Mega Drive, whatever you choose, whatever your country of choice is, but created on the MiSTer FPGA, so it's created within the FPGA, so you get psycho-accurate, arcade accurate in terms of the gameplay you remember from the past if you played this particular game before, and it should feel exactly the same. I've done lots of videos on the MiSTer FPGA, and the key one that sticks on my mind is Rally X on the arcade core, playing on main, which emulates it. I could probably only get 100,000, and I'm hitting about 140,000 playing on the MiSTer FPGA because it is so accurate and the muscle memory just kicks in from years before. Playing this game, there is no muscle memory because I've not seen it, but I wanted a vertical type shooter that we had, and I picked this particular game by the name. I figured, you know, you've got Flying Tiger and stuff like this, so my gut was it was going to be a plane type game, and I wasn't wrong. You know, it was a really blind choice, but I got exactly what I wanted. You know, interesting enemies like that one that I've just blown up on the screen with like 500 rockets. It looks like it could launch, you know, all those circles in that device, but obviously my great skills killed it. Loving the tanks here as well. When you shoot them, they effectively destroy in 2 parts. You've got the turrets that blow off, but the rest of the vehicle still trundles around, and you need to shoot that as well. While playing, in my mind, I've lost a life there. When playing in my mind, I was always a little bit fearful of, oh, can they still shoot? Can they attack without that? How can they attack with no turrets? I don't know. But it's just in the back of your mind. So I spent as much time trying to shoot the bodies of the tanks as well as the turrets of the tanks. Trying to collect these bonuses is pretty hard, the way they shoot around the screen, like the PI collected a few moments ago. They don't drop like in 1943 in front of you, so you just have to fly in and collect them. You know, I've got to try and position myself to get near that S while avoiding all the other enemies, which I didn't do, and died there. Game over. Excuse me. So we're going to put another credit in. We're not going to use all 5. We're just going to use maybe, you know, 2 to 3 of these to see how far we can get. You know, I'm loving these old games that we're playing. I'm loving these old games, some of which I've never seen before. You know, it just shows you, you know, all the things that you missed when you were younger. Let's try and collect that P again, see whether I'm successful at that. Obviously I've got to have no enemies in the way first, and there we are, but I can't see what it does, and now we've got an S. Yeah, so loving the old memories that this brings back, and seeing all the things you would have never got to have seen. This is the beauty of being able to play all these retro classics today, and these are bloody good games. You know, we're not in the, although I have a PlayStation, we're not in the PlayStation 5 world where we have a single game that's on, you know, 40 gig. It's a film type experience, it's a movie type experience for what you get for your money, and it never, you know, seems to have the replayability like you have here. When you die in these vintage games that we have, these retro games that you have, you know, you go back to the beginning of the stage. I feel that any current games that you play is effectively, okay, let's take you just before to the last battle that you had, and we'll pick up from there. I was playing a Tomb Raider game, it was probably a couple of years ago. I used to love these, and I can't remember which one it was, it doesn't really matter, but it just felt like whenever I died it would take me to just prior to the last cutscene, and you would play again from that point. And although it was hard, you know, was there any skill really involved in that game? You know, it was just hit the fire button, you know, dart around a little bit, and eventually you got through the damn thing. You know, unlike these type of games where, you know, you do need skill. Yes, these are much more simpler You don't have the open 3D environments, the open 3D worlds that, you know, we cherish and we love, but they're also a damn sight more harder. And, you know, it's not as if this is an arcade core here. This is running on the Mega Drive, so it's not as if there was a reason to say, oh, we need to soak up those 10p's, whatever the currency of choice. If you're in the States, we need to soak up these 25-cent coins. You know, let's suck you in here. And this was a surprise. The level kind of ended. I didn't really think I'd killed that guy. But what's interesting is you've got your enemies so close to your base. Literally, they're on the doorstep just behind it. And when you take off again, who would build a base where you have a little bit of greenery that we have, and the enemy tanks are just literally sat there waiting for you to take off? I think if I was one of the commanders in this game, there would be a bit more planning that went into it, and we would build the base a little further out and have a few maybe targets for me to practice to try and hit before I hit the real enemy. But even so, I'm doing reasonably well for myself. I'll probably die now. I said this. This is a talkie over the gameplay that's already been recorded, so I can't remember exactly where I do die and where I don't die. But just loving this game. If I was a kid and if I'd owned this game, would this be one that I would pick up and play again and again? Absolutely, yes, I really would. You know, having a lot of fun with this. It's like 1941, 1943, whatever those games are. You know, it reminds me very much of them, but you know, a little bit more fun because you're over a lot of land with this, and if I recall, those games were generally over the sea a fair amount, although we go over the sea now, I think it is. And you know, we've got some great enemies that we're trying to shoot now. You know, much larger planes that you know, just giving me hell here. You know, fortunately I've got the big bombs that I can drop on them, so you know, maybe we take this one out. I can't really remember. Yes, we do. But again, you know, I'm sure with these power-ups there's something more I can do to my plane. I haven't quite figured out how to do this yet, and using the controllers, sometimes I'm like an octopus, trying to find the right buttons, trying to find the right combination to do things, because I don't have the game over here. I don't have the instruction book to hand or anything else like this, you know, but I just want to enjoy the experience. So this is the last credit that I'm playing, I believe, to see how far we can get. I don't think I take it down right to the end. In fact, I know I don't take it down right to the end, but I do die very quickly there, as usual. So I mentioned 1941, 1943, a little bit of sea that we're flying over here. You know, love the fact there's a bit of landmass in between, and you've got a mixture of the tanks as well. I do think I get to some boats. I'm pretty sure that I get to some boats, because there was another thing that really impressed me. Rather than the boats dying, I seem to recall that their wreckage was left in the sea, and I'm absolutely certain it happens on this bit of gameplay here. We'll see in a moment. So we have to surely be heading to the boats now. I can see how much time is left on the video, how much gameplay is left, and I'm absolutely certain, as I said, we hit a few boats. So this looks like we're certainly in the sea now. And look at that, you kill the enemy boats and they leave wreckage. You know, the attention to detail, and it's just the silly little things like that make these old games, you know, just absolutely, you know, fun to play. If I was a programmer who had written this game, I would be bloody pleased with myself. It's a real good arcade blast. It's a real good arcade shooter where the difficulty for idiots like myself is timed just right. You can have a lot of fun, and that's an interesting boat. Didn't last long. You can have a lot of fun, you know, playing this, and you won't get all the way to the end unless you get some skills, because as you see, it has limited credits that it gave you. But I got as far as we did, and you know, that is now game over. So hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a like, please give it a subscribe. I do this for fun. Otherwise, look forward to seeing you next time, and I hope you enjoyed Fire Shark. Thank you and goodbye.